Prime Minister's offered peacekeeping forces, but every military leader says that our 75,000 strong army can't possibly do this by itself or even fulfill the share of the peacekeeping that the Ukrainians want. I spoke to the Latvian president, and he says that he thinks that what Latvians are doing, which is conscription, should be considered by other European countries in order to make sure that we have the forces. Is that something that we would consider?
We're not considering conscription, but of course we've announced a major increase in defence expenditure a couple of weeks ago. And we do have to recognise that the world has changed here. The phrase step up is used a lot in recent weeks, and Europe does have to step up in terms of its own defence. President Trump isn't actually the first president to say that, but he said it
Indeed.
more loudly
Obama and Biden
and with more force than his predecessors. So I think we've got to recognise that moment. And there is another important point here. When the world is changing as fast as it is, it's important that we don't cling on to old assumptions. And I think the Prime Minister's played a tremendous role in recent weeks in responding to that situation and explaining it to the public. And that's why the decision on increasing defence expenditure was needed. And it may be why other decisions are needed in the future that respond to a new reality and that we don't find ourselves caught operating under the same assumptions as we used to in the past when the situation has changed.
Just a quick question about that new reality. Does it involve a bigger army?
Well, we've got a strategic defence review led by Lord Robertson.
I know, but I'm not asking about direction of
so let that report, and it will set out quite a lot about how this extra investment in defence should be, what that should be spent on. One thing's for sure, you would not spend that money today on the same things as you would 10 years ago. The experience of 3 years of the war in Ukraine has shown just how fast the battlefield is changing in terms of cyber, in terms of drones, in terms of the use of intelligence. So I don't think we would spend the money this time the way that we would have done 10 or 20 years ago. But that's precisely why we commissioned